Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 189. It is Wednesday. Today, simply gorgeous again. Sorry, people, but it's so beautiful here in Cincinnati. I just have to keep talking about the weather. I have the windows open and the birds are singing to me. Star just came in and settled in for a little nap. He's been barking at the lawn care guy and moving some energy, so he and I are settling in for whatever this podcast is going to bring through. The sun is shining. It's just a beautiful spring day. So I've been pondering after yesterday and the day before's theme that's been presenting itself about time. I loved the example that came through about Speed, the movie Speed, and how we step into different realities or different timelines based on our choices, and then we kind of get taken on the ride. Whatever it is that is going to be carrying us forward, we step into that next step of the experience, and then like we're off and we're in whatever it is that we're creating. And so I was just thinking about that and really playing with the ideas that have been coming through. And so when I muscle tested the title for today, what I was clear on is it's about eagerly awaiting what is coming next, eagerly anticipating the timelines that we are creating right here in this moment. And then also being very aware that we're creating them right now in this moment. So perhaps the best example I can offer of that is when someone is pregnant. Let me think if I want. I'll use the example of my children. So when I found out I was pregnant with our daughter and we started the whole journey of pregnancy, I knew in every cell of my body I was going to deliver a healthy baby. And I didn't know if she was going to be a boy or a girl, but I knew she would be healthy. And I knew she was going to arrive and she was going to grow full term and she would come out and be this beautiful little soul in a human body. I knew that. It was just a reality that was absolute for me. And my practice over those 9 months was to be really present for how it felt each step along the way, and still be eagerly awaiting her arrival. And so holding both, holding the knowing all was well and that event of her birth had already happened and that timeline was already my reality, and being in the actual journey of being pregnant and not seeing her or holding her in the physical. I mean, she was in my belly, but I couldn't hold her or feel her except as a movement inside of me. And so the whole time I was pregnant, the timeline I was going to be stepping into of being a mother was a reality I was moving towards, but I wasn't in it yet. I knew it was arriving. I knew there would be this shift where I would go from being a woman to being a woman who is now a mother, and that transition was going to arrive, but I wasn't in it yet, even though I knew it was coming. The same for when I had my son. We knew we were going to have a baby. We had some complications with him, and so there was this element added in of, there may be complications at birth or immediately after. And I also knew the same way I knew with my daughter, I'm going to have a healthy child, and whether he's a boy or a girl, he's going to be incredible. And I already know that. But it took more conscious effort to stay present in that pregnancy because the future was a little more uncertain from the scientific realm. In my heart, I knew it was already fine. But from the doctor's perspective, there was a question. And so I was holding the duality of that even more powerfully, knowing he or she was going to be perfect, and also doing all the extra tests and showing up for all the extra appointments and being present, with my little girl at the same time. And so the journey along that timeline, so, I think about it, I had the timeline of being a single woman, I had the timeline of being a married woman, and then I had another shift to a timeline of being a married woman with one child, and then the shift to married, one child, one on the way, and then another shift. So if we think of all of those as timelines, they can all be flexible, or they can change along the way. And yet the step of one puts us into the step closer to the other, and then into the step closer to the other. Now we're at the shift of being an empty nester pretty soon and not having any children at home, and then eventually being grandparents. These shifts are going to keep expanding. The timelines that we are creating are always unfolding in front of us. And the more people that we bring into our lives, the more that we love and have intimate, deep relationships with all these souls in human bodies, the more complex the timelines become. And so one person's shift in one timeline can send ripples into the timelines of others. And so it just becomes perhaps more of a web, of lots of overlapping, interweaving realities of all the people that we are walking these human journeys with. And also at an individual level, there is always a next evolution, or a next unfolding, or another shift into a timeline that is of a higher vibration or greater clarity and purpose that is always awaiting us. No matter how advanced we think we are, or how far along our spiritual evolutionary growth path we might be, there's always going to be more. There's always going to be another expansion, another awareness, another creation, another experience of love, a deeper expansion of love. And so as we play with this idea of creating our realities and being very conscious and present in the shifts of our timelines, I hold this steady awareness for all of us that there's always an expansion or a timeline to eagerly await. And if we are able to hold that vision for ourselves, hold that knowing, not even that vision, that knowing that there is always going to be another level, that's not the right word, there's always a timeline that we can step into or dissolve into from our current one that is going to bring us more love, more play, more joy, more creativity, more whatever it is that we are exploring in this life. That next possibility, that's the right word, that next possibility is always available right to the side or in front of this current moment. And so can we hold both? Can we be present right here, feel what we're feeling, have these amazing conversations with people around us, and create and do and be? Can we be present right here and hold the knowing that just right in front of us, just right next to us, we're eagerly awaiting what is arriving? Perhaps a really good example of this would be in the Harry Potter series. You go down into the train station. If you're not familiar with this, this is like an essential part of the movie, of the books. You go to the train station, and then there's this wall, and it's unmarked unless you are a wizard, and then you're able to see it. And you walk into the wall, and it portals you into another entirely different dimension, another reality that is the train that takes you to Hogwarts. And so if you don't believe that that wall is going to be a portal that you can step through into the next expansion, you're going to just run into a wall and hit it, and it'll be hard and you'll fall back on your butt. But if you believe, if you're able to have faith that that is a reality that is awaiting, and you just eagerly step in, you're going to be able to go into that magical world. It's exactly the same for us. When I was pregnant with my children, the reality of a baby was not something I could put my hands on until it actually happened. And yet the entire pregnancy, I was holding that potential, that possibility. I was eagerly awaiting their arrival. That moment when I would hold my child, and it happened. But in the pregnancy itself, you don't know that yet. You haven't felt that yet with that individual baby. So you're just going on blind faith. You're believing that there's a magical world that is going to arrive where that baby will be in your arms. And until that moment happens, you're just going on the faith of it. What if we can apply that same certainty to our own timeline as the individual soul that you or I or each of us are in our human bodies? There is a magical world, a magical experience, a magical creation, a magical relationship, a magical healthy body, whatever it is that you are just so dreaming of the possibility becoming a reality. It exists. And so, can you eagerly await that as a reality right here, right now, and enjoy this moment at the same time? Because I know there were moments after I had my children where I said to friends and family, I'm like, oh, I wish that baby was in my belly again and I could feel what it felt like when the baby was moving around, because it was so cool. It's unlike any other feeling, and you only get to experience it when you're pregnant. So to rush the pregnancy to get to the delivery, that experience of the pregnancy completes. So do we want to rush that? We want to savor it. Savor it. Enjoy the absolute magical deliciousness of it. And then when that little baby arrives, you're ready. And it's the most magical moment. And then you'll be like me, and you'll have a 20-year-old daughter who has this incredible conversation with you about her future. you just start crying, because this reality, this timeline, you didn't even know that it was possible. I didn't know my daughter and I would have conversations like this when I was pregnant with her. But oh my God, is it amazing? Same with my son. Like, are you kidding me? How cool are my children? They're so cool. They're so cool. And I knew that when I was pregnant, but did I know who they would become? Not the way that I do now. And so I sit in this moment, years after the pregnancy, I sit in this moment, knowing, eagerly awaiting what is arriving next. And also thrilled with how right here and right now feels. Yeah. The birds are singing, eagerly awaiting. So good. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me in aligning with the optimal health of your mind, body, spirit in the virtual community of Viv's Energy Gym. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.